I'm Gabe Lullo, and welcome to the Do Hard Things podcast. We're talking to go-to-market leaders and entrepreneurs who have conquered the challenges, the hustle, and the grind. Get ready for real talk, real insights, and no fluff.
But the hardest thing in the world right now is not actually closing deals, it's actually getting somebody's attention.
If you don't have that hook in that first 5 to 10 seconds, guess what? They're going to scroll to the next one.
You need to go in and you need to make it sound like yourself. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle. And I promise you, we can all tell.
The people that are trolls and the people that are haters never done the thing that you're doing.
I love doing this podcast because I get a front row seat to some of the greatest minds in sales.
Gone are the days of saying stay in your lane. When you're an executive leader and you're an enterprise-wide leader, there are no lanes. You've got to be partners.
Curiosity is like when the type of questions you ask is sometimes the value that you bring.
I need you to tell me when you're ready to buy or what you're ready to do. And I think it's changed so much into like adding more value. And if you're not doing that, then you're definitely going to come off as desperate.
High pressure selling is like a dinosaur tactic at this point.
No parent is like, oh, you should be a salesperson when you grow up, right? Everyone's like a doctor, lawyer, whatever crap. It's never salespeople.
It's not your job to motivate people. It's your job to find motivated people.
It's not cockiness. It's not arrogance. It's confidence knowing I know this and I know that I can help you.
From where I started to where I am today is all because I learned how to sell.
And there's too many people who have only been doing this for 5 freaking minutes. Sit down, close your mouth, actually go out there and get yourself beat up, then come back and tell me if something is dead or not.
That is exactly why I started this podcast, because right there, that's the epitome of doing hard things.
Welcome back to the Do Hard Things podcast with Lexi and Gabe. Today's guest, Katy Rey, is a people and culture leader, author, speaker, nonprofit leader, and podcast host who believes human connection is the foundation of everything: great teams, great culture, and great business. Katy's work spans through coaching, leadership development, and advocacy for foster youth through her nonprofit, Fostering Hearts Florida. She runs Humans First Coaching, where she focuses on growing individuals both personally and professionally, and hosts the Not a Great Whisperer podcast, a show dedicated to ordinary people living extraordinary lives through storytelling and authentic conversations. Her philosophy is simple but powerful. Culture isn't a perk, it's paramount. And the best leaders are the ones who help people work hard at what they do, have energy for what they love, and enjoy time with the people they love. Katy, welcome to the show.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Do Hard Things podcast. We're so excited to have you back with your hosts, me and Lexi. And we have Katy. Katy, how are you? We just heard your bio. We're super pumped to have you on the show. How's everything going?
Everything's great. I'm so excited to be here. It's funny because I was telling someone the other day, I was like, choose your hard. You can do hard things. So I love that we're doing this for 2026.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, it's funny, we say it all the time in our family. It's our family motto. It's actually where it came from. And we talk about it all the time. And now we have t-shirts with it on. So it's even more, we just point to the shirt when my 12-year-old daughter is not wanting to do her homework.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's great. But let's start with the origin story, because we always love to hear your background and really how you got into people and culture. And, what was that moment where you realized this was your calling?
Yeah, I've been running sales teams for over 15, almost 20 years now. And I started really just enjoying watching the growth of others, being able to empower them. My energy is insane. It's not normal. I just have a lot of energy, and I found that my superpower is pouring it into others to remind them what they're capable of. But I did notice there was a little bit of hesitation from other leaders that would be on my leadership teams, and I was kind of done fighting that battle with other leaders. So that's when I branched off to do Humans First Coaching and really focus on partnering with other leaders that get it to be able to impact more people and teams and just build people up, because personal and professional are always intertwined. I think people are often like, we separate personal, we separate. That's not it. Like, you're going to take your work home sometimes. You're going to bring home to work. Like, it just happens. So it's like, how can we make life better for others? So
I love that. And another thing I see that you post a lot about is foster youth advocacy, and it's clearly important to you, very important to many. What's your connection to that cause, and how does it really show up in the way that you work?
Yeah, I think working with a lot of corporate teams and understanding that adults need the tools and help, and that children that are in the child welfare system do not have any of those tools, access, or even know that it exists. Really just, I'm just a heart-led person, so helping the youth is huge for me, and I'm just a big kid. But knowing that they don't have a support system and knowing how much we've helped adults find their way and clarity and support and growth, and knowing that we can give the support to children is just huge for me. Foster youth does not have enough support through the system. So working with them to fill the educational gaps has just been a passion of mine, and it's been so fulfilling. And I'm able to utilize my superpower of uplifting others and building up their capabilities with foster youth as well. So it's just kind of like, people always say you're searching for that purpose. Well, I think it's really searching for what you're good at and then implementing it in different environments.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously coming from sales, that's helped a bunch. Obviously, we are in the sales business here at me and Lexi at our company. But it's interesting, now many years after graduating college, I always think about if I had to do it all over again, if I wanted to get into sales, I actually wouldn't have gone to school for business. I would have gone to school for psychology because it's really just the understanding of people, right? Understanding leadership, understanding how people operate and culture. So take us through that. Like, what is your sales experience? Well, how has it helped shape really how you address, what you're doing today?
That makes me laugh a little bit because sales, I was in hospitality my entire life. And then in college, I did communications, public relations. Then I went into sales. I was selling door to door T1. So the fact that it just makes me laugh because you're right. What I would never have gone into sales. I would have gone into people development. Like, it just would have never been that. But how I grew into that, and I really, I was a manager, a leader. I hate the word manager, but I was a manager, a project manager for large IT manufacturers at the age of 25. And running teams for Samsung, Dell, like, it was just a lot of big corporations. I didn't realize that. What I was realizing is how hard it was to show up as a leader for different ages, different backgrounds. I was in Miami at the time, so you had all different cultures you were managing, ages ranging from 20 to 60 years old. I had reps from everywhere. So that was really what made me really dig into leadership and understanding people and how everyone's motivated differently. You're always told you got to make this money, you got to hit this title, you have to hit that milestone. That's not it. It really isn't. And it's fun, like reading bios, but that, who I am is a human that wants to make you a better human, wants to show up authentically so you feel comfortable. So it's very amazing to me that running sales teams is a part of my history of my career, because the numbers didn't matter to me. We'd always hit the numbers, but I was so people oriented. Like, how are you today? How are you feeling? How's your family? I would know, it's just so crazy. When you said that, it just all clicked. And
Yeah.
I love sales. I think you're selling in every part of your life. You're really like selling yourself in every relationship, everybody you meet. But the way sales is portrayed is not who I am as a person at all, if you think about it. It's crazy to think about.
Totally. And people are everything. And you've said human connection is the key to a healthy team. And it sounds obvious, but most companies still get it wrong. What do you think they're truly missing?
They're missing the humanity part. If you can't look at yourself and say, oh, I made a mistake today, let's see how I can learn tomorrow. If you're not doing self-reflection, if you're not sitting back saying, how could I have brought myself, how could I have shown up better for someone? You're missing everybody. You're missing the presence of just being with other people and learning from them. And I often do speaking events and things, but I had started a podcast because I wanted to hear everyone else's stories. And often you'll hear people be like, oh, my story doesn't matter. Everybody's story matters 100%. And everybody has experience. So if leaders, I often say I don't like to fight with leaders who don't see the importance of their people, because it's just like it's just a waste of breath at this point in my career. But it's fun to have them have an aha moment that people really do matter, and giving people that sense of value and just being seen, loved, and heard is so powerful. And I'm mad it took me so long to figure that out, but I'm not, because I'm glad I did.
that really blends into culture, right? Because, getting people to work together really is what culture is all about. So you said a quote, which I absolutely love. I think I'm going to steal it if it's
Okay,
okay.
yeah.
It's paramount for all companies, right? So what does a great culture look like in practice though? And how do you really build it when you're trying to scale fast?
So scaling fast is hard. That's often where a lot of companies forget the people that are behind. I think having an open culture where people's opinions matter is very important. The psychological safety part, love that you wanted to get into psychology. The psychological safety part, a lot of leaders miss for their culture. It's really important to feel good when you go into work, right? We're at work sometimes more than we see our family. So I think the culture piece is used sometimes in a way where people are like, "Oh, our culture is great. I have an open door policy." If people are scared to come to you, that's not an open door policy. It's showing up, making mistakes, showing up as human, and reminding people that you're here to get the feedback and you're also there to give the feedback. I think leaders miss the mark a lot when fear-based management, kind of like parenting, and they just pretend that it's comfortable. And often people are like, "Oh, we're a family." Not the safest thing to say. Sometimes people do not have a great relationship with their family. So saying the team is a family doesn't feel great. So there's all different types of things.
And
That's so funny. I love
focus
that.
a lot, yeah, on growing people personally and professionally. What's the difference between leaders who do that well and those leaders who just kind of talk about it but don't actually practice it?
You can tell when a leader is show up, do your job, go home and do what you love. No, it has to be everything. You have to show up feeling good. Yeah, I mean, there's days you're putting out fires, but leaders who can't sit there and say, wait a second, these people are taking more time at work sometimes and not getting to their kids' game, not having a chance to walk their dog, not taking a break to eat, like to not self reflect and be like, how am I helping my team grow and have the clarity where they can take time for themselves? So many different generations. I talked to my dad who was in a field for 25 years, another one was in it for 40 years and didn't leave because of the loyalty and but weren't treated great. It's not you have to feel good. And the way that works is a leader is going to appreciate you, show gratitude, listen, and allow you to have a chance to not feel so overwhelmed at work where they're not showing up trying to alleviate that stress or at least trying to give you a chance to do what you need to do later on that day. It's really, it all goes back to just being a human and seeing people.
Yeah, I love that, and it starts really at, the frontline level, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of your companies who are trying to implement, people first businesses or culture, enhancements, they really get stuck behind, HR police, right? It's not HR's responsibility to run the culture at a company. So, do you agree with that one? And take us through what that looks like to be a true culture builder, and how do you avoid that, that trap of sitting behind HR?
Yeah, a couple companies we've worked with, we've called ourselves the people officer and we work side by side with HR, but HR's policies, procedures, making sure everything's in line for the structure of the company if you really look at it. Where a people officer, culture officer, whatever we want to call it, is more in tune with motivation, helping people feel good at work. What can we do to make this atmosphere stronger? And huge is turnover. The numbers do not lie. Data does not lie. I've been in IT for a very long time. It doesn't lie. So if your turnover is horrible, please reflect and look at your culture. I can 100% tell you loyalty does not live where people do not feel safe. You just don't. You don't stay there that long, especially now when there's so many other tools, there's so many other environments, atmospheres you can be in where you can thrive. And HR should be working hand in hand with they should not be the people, the end all be all of a culture at all. And I love HR departments. I love HR. but you really have to, it has to be different. It really does.
Definitely. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about humans first coaching. Can you walk us through what you actually do, who you work with, and what does a successful engagement look like for you?
Yes. So, humans first coaching, we start with a discovery call always, just kind of understanding what you feel is needed at your company or what you're looking for, what type of engagement you want to have. But then we do an anonymous engagement survey to get the real data to your team to understand what you might be missing as a leader when you reached out to us. But we really want to see what motivates you, what is bringing stress, and where the gaps are within what you think is happening in your company. We look at all types of like turnover numbers. That's why we like to work with a lot of CFOs. I work with Florida CFO group here to really understand where the loss is. Of course, revenue is a huge deal for any business. I think we all can say that. But it's also what can we do to eliminate these drastic losses or things like that. But an engagement is a real conversation. There's no template. I can't tell you everybody we've worked with works on this type of project. Everything is customized. All of our frameworks are different. And we've worked with teams of 2 up to 150. And some of that looks like personal and professional coaching, quarterly workshops, very customized workshop depending on the data we've gathered, and also monthly check-ins with leadership, executive coaching. We've done twice a month, like everything's so different. And it's so much fun because at the end of the day, it really is down to your happiness, your success, and how we can build each other up to be a stronger team.
So there's a lot of shifts happening right now. It's 2026, right? So
Sure
walk
is.
us through, and here's a couple things that we're seeing, right? We're seeing big shifts in outsourcing. We're seeing big shifts in offshoring, and we're seeing obviously AI come in and really forcing people to level up or be, replaced really with technology. So how do we still have highly producing, highly productive teams yet not get burnt out because they're trying to work so hard to compete with, jobs that are, one fourth, one fifth, across the world, or, being outsourced by technology or AI? Where is that balance where we're not burning the candle on both ends, getting burnout for our team, having a strong culture, but still being highly productive and not being replaced by these other vehicles?
We're actually dealing with this with one of our clients right now, and it's it's really showing your team, your workforce that AI can be utilized in ways where those tasks that are everyday tasks that are taking up a lot of your time can be to not be scared of it, right? The goal isn't to eliminate jobs, and you do need people. I think people are like, "Oh no, you do AI, 90% of our work can be done." You still need people, but I think it's making it a little bit more comfortable because we can't run from it. Like, like it's here, but it's making the value more for your team, and really understanding what they're scared of with AI is what we've been digging into. What is it? Is it just your job, losing your job? Okay, then how can we utilize it so you feel confident in your role? And understanding and giving them training, actually investing in training where they understand the technology. It's a different time, but the energy exchange with people, I know so many things are virtual still too, but meet, your teams that are all remote, meeting once or twice a year is a game changer for morale for teams. People forget that, like that exchange of energy just being in person. And it's really how can we utilize things together because burnout is real. Your body feels it, everything, your mind, your if you have back-to-back meetings, we did this for a client so they could realize, and never a break, your brain actually shrinks during that time. What do we can't absorb anything if our brain isn't
Wow.
even
Yeah.
cooperating. There is a study and there is a literally a diagram that shows like you need breaks. Like we can't by the end of the day, you can't even there's no complete sentences at all. So there is just things that we need to be aware of as humans. And if you can eliminate more burnout for their jobs, they might really be on board for AI and understanding how you can get an agent and do things. Yeah, I haven't embraced the whole thing, but I'm getting into it. It's cool. It's cool stuff.
I like that take on it. So awesome. And you host your own podcast focused on ordinary people living extraordinary lives. What inspired you to start the podcast, and what's really the story behind the name?
The name's not a great whisper because, as you can tell, my volume is never a whisper. But I ever it's really hard. My kids even will be like, "Mom, you're not a great whisper," and then they'll laugh and walk away. But I really loved hearing people's stories. I always share my story. I have 2 books. I like to be in front of crowds. As you can tell, I love chatting. But I didn't hear enough of other people's stories. And I mean, anybody I met was on this podcast, like just amazing humans that would sometimes have to be talked into being on the podcast. But it's just been really fun. I took a break because fostering hearts has taken so much of my time, but 2026, I'm looking to bring it back and actually interview a lot of aged out foster youth that I work with. Their stories are so powerful. It's just it's another world that I am living with foster youth, and to see their strength and they've been in survival so long, and to get them into really thriving is huge. So
Yeah, let's double down on the podcast because you said a few things so far. You talked about how important stories are, right? You've talked about how unique people's personalities are, and you wanted to start this podcast so you can learn from others. And us hosting this show, we feel the exact same way. You learn so much from people, and everyone has all these very, very, very unique, different stories. But at the same time, there's always, similarities, right? There's always some similar trends that every very highly successful, ultra uber successful people, these extraordinary people you mentioned have. What are some that you notice that are always, the same for everyone, even though they're so unique in every scenario?
they own failure. They show up, and when they fail, they keep pushing through. Nothing's really an end all be all, right? Like, so they just don't give up at the last minute. And they've navigated different ways to get to their goal. So they thought one way, they expected one thing, but they were okay with change. That has been 2 of the big themes. And I think seeing people as human. I don't really have like arrogant people who aren't humble now in my life, who just show up and they're just like, I'm the best. I mean, I love people who celebrate themselves. Let's do it. But I mean, like, that don't see others as well. So serving others, failure, and okay with change.
As both a podcast host and a guest today, what have you really learned about storytelling that's changed how you let or coach others?
That every story matters, and to give people a chance to share their story. And there are a lot of similarities, but everybody is really unique in how they've handled things. Storytelling is the coolest. I love storytelling. I'm a heart-led person, so like you can get me real quick with like any story. I'm just like, oh my God. My kids look at me during movies. They're like, are you crying yet? She's probably crying, because I'm just like all heart-led. Like I'm like, yeah, I am crying. Okay, thank you. But storytelling is just so powerful. I wish people showed up as themselves more and shared their stories, because it's just something that connects others and helps others feel seen. So
Yeah, a mentor of mine taught me a long time ago. I said, "Facts tell, stories sell." And
mhm.
I just, as a factual person like yourself, right, who's very data focused, sometimes I get into the weeds of just like showing spreadsheets and numbers to people. But at the end of the day, it's the stories that move people into action. And I just
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
So as we wind down here, there's some people listening right now that maybe are disconnected. Maybe it's from their work, from their team, from themselves. What's 1 or 2 steps that they can take this week to get back on track? How would you advise them?
I would advise them to go outside if they can if they're in Alaska or something's crazy happening in Canada. But if you can get outside more this week, take your breath, get 10 minutes in between meetings, kind of recenter yourself and remember who you are and that the job doesn't define you. And reach out to me. I'm always up for a call.
I love
I
that.
love that.
That's really awesome. And you're doing coaching, speaking, writing, podcasting. What's next for you? Is there anything exciting that you have coming or any goals for 2026?
Oh gosh, what a good question. Lexi, are you on my vision board? So goals for 2026 is actually being more present when I am with my 3 children, but building our organization where I know our educators are always taken care of for fostering hearts, as well as taking on a couple more clients for Humans First with workshops, like consistent workshops, because I know what the impact can be. And just really, I know I told somebody I turned 40 last year and I was like, I hope this is my slow down year. I was lying. It was not my slow down year. But it's really just getting prioritized where I'm doing the stuff that fills my cup up, which is work, but it's being in rooms where I can uplift people and share stories and be voices for people. So I think it's that. Lexi, thank you for my vision board moment.
So, final question. Let's be super specific, right? Because you said there's people that could reach out to you. Who is that exact ideal person that should be able to reach out to you? And also, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, Katy at humansfirstcoaching.com or Katy at katyrey.com, REY. But I think my ideal person is anyone who feels like they're in a rut. If you're in a moment where you're like, I need to jump ship or I need to stay where I'm at, how can I make this more fulfilling for me? Anybody at a rep level to a leader. I'd love to talk with more leaders because I think the impact is greater for a team. But listen, I have one-on-ones with teams and reps from teams all the time, from project managers to sales reps to all the things. And I think it's when you're just feeling stuck and you're not motivated to do stuff that you love, but you're also just not motivated to pour into yourself. And those are the people I just want to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Katy, for joining us. We cannot wait to get this in front of our audience. You are awesome. We appreciate you. And to our audience members, keep doing the hard things, and we will definitely see you on the next one.
Yes. Thank you both so much.